Hello and welcome to the 8th Java tutorial in the series. This one we're going to be looking at arrays. Now arrays are ways of storing variables together of the same type. So for example, I could have an int array which would be represented by this. So it would be int with two square brackets, and then like a normal variable you give it a name. So I'll call it my numbers, there we go. And now to initiate an array, with a normal int you'd say int my number equals 5, but this is a multiple amount of numbers, so there are different ways of initiating it. So the first one is to say equals and then use curly brackets like that, and then inside the curly brackets you give it an amount of numbers separated by commas. So for example 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this would be an int array which stores 5 numbers, and the first indexed number would be 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7. Okay, now there is another way to initiate arrays as well. So if I create another int array called these numbers equals new int array, and inside these square brackets over here I can put 5, which means this is an int array which stores 5 int variables, except it doesn't actually know what they are. All it knows is the length of the array, whereas this one knows both the length and what the actual numbers are. And you'll see later on that there are positives and negatives of using each type of array initiation. Now to actually reference these variables inside the arrays, we can do that by using the index numbers. So I'll show you. So if I do system out print line, and I'll say the first number in the array is, and then I'll use plus to concatenate a variable onto it, and I'll say my numbers. Now to reference one of the numbers, I put the square brackets and then I put the number of the index. So if I put 0, that will represent 3, because in Java indexing always starts at 0 instead of 1. It's a bit confusing, but something that you'll quite quickly get used to. Okay, so if I put my numbers and then 0 in square brackets, that will represent the 3 there. So if I save and run this, the first number in the array is 3. There we go. So if I copy and paste this and change this to 3, save that. Oh no, it shouldn't say the first number, it should say the 4th number. There we go. So the first number in the array is 3, the 4th number in the array is 6, because I changed the index to 3, which represents the 4th number along. And this will work with the other array as well, except this array doesn't have any numbers set to it. Now what we can do with this is we can set them straight away here by saying these numbers, and then put 0 for the first one, equals, and then any number you want, so 7. So these numbers at the first index equals 7. Now if I copy that, paste it 5 times, I'll change these numbers, change them to whatever you want. Now these numbers has been filled up with some integer variables. So if I change this from my numbers to not your numbers, these numbers, save and run this. Now it will say the first number in the array is 7, and yep, look, it's 7 there. We set it as the 0th element, and then it says the 4th number in the array is 3, which it is. Okay, so they're arrays. They're used very frequently, and there's different ways of initiating them, as you can see. And then to reference them, you just say the name of the array and you give it an index value. Okay, so thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.